Hey everybody, Dominic here, and in this video I'm going to talk about Chrome and give you some tips on how you can use Chrome as your internet browser effectively. These days we have a lot of options when it comes to web browsers. We've got Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, Opera, Safari. There's a few others out there. Edge. I hope no one's using Edge. There's a lot of web browsers out there, and uh, some people like to stick with their favorites. Some people like to stick with the browsers they've used for the longest time. Uh, what I would say is that these days, Chrome has proven to be a web browser that's pretty dependable. It works with just about any website you go to, with a few exceptions. So, what I would say is that generally I would try to use Chrome for most of the work that I do. That said, if you do have some software that you use that needs to use a different web browser, obviously use that one. But Chrome has a lot of cool features in addition to the fact that it's just a very stable web browser. And so in this video, I want to talk about some of those features. Now, actually, before I get into them, first I want to talk about your default web browser. If you're running Windows, and Mac OS as well, you can set your default browser, but in this video I will show you in Windows how you can set what your default web browser is. So if I go down to the little magnifying glass down here in the bottom left, you might have the Cortana circle symbol down there, but it doesn't matter. Either way, just click on that and type in default browser. And you'll see some options here. Choose a default web browser. That's the one that we're going to go to. And here you'll see a listing for web browser, and you can click on the symbol that's there and choose which web browser you want to be your default. Now, you can see here it says Microsoft Edge recommended for Windows 10. Here's the deal. Microsoft Edge is a very slimmed down browser, and it does have some benefits in how slimmed down it is. The problem is that any websites that have extra features that they like to use tend to not work so nicely in Edge. So I really would not recommend using Edge. Internet Explorer, I would say that it's been around for a long, long time, and I know some people like to still use it. The problem is it's not really getting updates these days. And so for modern web technology, Internet Explorer is just not really holding up. So Firefox is a solid choice, but I choose Chrome. So in here, you can choose what your default web browser is. So you choose your browser and then you close it. So that's how you set your default web browser. Now, in regards to Chrome, there's a few features in Chrome that I want to point out to you that you may be interested in. And the first one I'm going to talk about are extensions. Now, what are extensions? Extensions are basically extra pieces of software, they're applications, that you install into Chrome rather than install into Windows. You actually install applications directly into your web browser. And extensions can be really, really useful. There's some great extensions out there. You can see up here in the top right, I've got a few different extensions up here. So I've got an extension for WebEx. I've got an extension for G Suite Training. I've got an eyedropper extension. Actually, I'll demonstrate the eyedropper. It's pretty sweet. So if I click on the little eyedropper, I can click on Pick Color from Web Page. And now I can mouse over and click on a color. So I can click on the blue over here, and it will actually give me the codes that represent that color. So kind of a nice one. And I've got a few other ones here. I got a Grammarly extension. So extensions are software that you install into your browser. Now, how do you get them? Typically, the best way to get extensions is to go to the web store for Chrome. So to get there, if you open a new tab in Chrome, over here on the left-hand side, you probably have an apps icon that you can click on, and then you can go to the web store right here. You can also get there by going to this URL up here, chrome.google.com/webstore. That will get you here as well. And from here, you can search for a ton of different extensions that you could install into your Chrome browser. Now, I'm not really going to go too deeply into extensions. The main reason I want to bring them up is that sometimes when you go to some websites, they will pop up messages and basically try to trick you into installing an extension. And I've seen it happen not too much. If you go to websites that are trustworthy, it's not generally a problem, but on occasion it can happen. And what I want you to do is, regardless of whether or not you use extensions, I want you to know where to check to see if you have them. And the way you check is, if you hit the little kebab selector in the top right in Chrome, go down to More Tools, and go to Extensions. This will give you a list of all the extensions that you currently have installed in your Chrome browser. Now, what I would recommend is do this, go look here and see if you see anything that you have no idea what it is, or something that you never use. And if you see anything like that, I would recommend removing it. Because, well, number one, if you have no idea what it is, probably don't want it on your browser. But number two, these extensions can take up resources on your computer. It can actually slow down your computer if you have too many of them. So I would recommend going in here, check and see what's listed. And if you see anything you don't recognize or you don't use, go ahead and remove it. And I would recommend doing that every month or couple of months. A good routine to have. So that's extensions, and I might talk about some useful extensions in a future video. Okay, the next topic I want to talk about is pinning tabs. This one's really simple. So in Chrome, you have these tabs up here, right? And you can always open a new tab by hitting the plus sign. And so you can have multiple web pages up at the same time and just switch between them by clicking these tabs. And if I'm done with a tab, I can click on the X to close it, right? Well, what if you want to keep a tab there all the time? You never want to lose it because it's a web page that you always go to, you're always checking it, you just assume always have it up and not have to worry about closing it. Well, you can pin tabs, and that's what I've done over here in the top left. See the little Twitter icon and the Facebook icon? I have pinned the tabs for the CPD Spotlight on Twitter and on Facebook. And so what I can do is at any point when I'm in my browser, I can click on the Twitter icon and see there's the CPD Spotlight on Twitter. And I can click on the Facebook icon, and there it is on Facebook. Okay, so how do you pin tabs? Really simple. Just right-click a tab that you have open that you want to pin, and click on Pin Tab. And now you can see the updates for Microsoft Office is pinned over here. And when you close your browser and open it again, your pinned tabs will load automatically for you. In my experience, this is something that I've had to do on each computer. It hasn't followed me on different on my Chrome account from computer to computer for some reason. So, but just be aware that you can pin tabs and keep them up there all the time in this nice little concise format. Okay. So the last tip that I'm going to talk about in this video is incognito mode. Now, this is something that is not enabled for all CVTC computers. If you go to a computer lab or if you're on a teacher station, incognito mode may be disabled, and that's for security reasons. But if you're on a personal computer, you should have access to it. So I'll demonstrate what it or where it is, and then I'll talk about what it does. So if I go up to the top right and hit the kebab selector, you'll see I can open a new tab, I can open a new window, or I can do a new incognito window. If I click new incognito window, it opens up a new window for Chrome. You can see that in the top right, I'm not signed in to any Google account. It just says you're incognito. And you can see the browser looks dark and sinister It looks like, we're about to do something nefarious. But incognito is incredibly useful. The basic premise of what it does is when you are browsing the web incognito, your browsing history and everything that you're doing is not being saved or recorded on the computer that you're using. So if you want to do some Christmas shopping for somebody and not have them go into the browsing history and see what you were looking for, incognito would be a very useful way to do that. Now, the reason I'm showing it to you is because it's very, very useful when it comes to sharing documents with other people and testing to see whether you've shared something so it's available for public viewing. Okay, so in previous videos, I have talked about sharing like a Google Doc with students. And let me actually jump into a Google Doc really quickly here. I'll go over to Google Docs. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make a new Google Doc, and this is a great opportunity for me to show you something that's just a small, tiny little tip, but it's kind of fun. If you open a web browser and type in docs.new, it will create a new Google Doc for you. You can do that with slides.new, sheets.new, I think sites.new. There's a lot of them. If you want to make a new Google whatever, just type in the thing.new. Makes a new one for you. Okay, so let's say that I'm making this Google Doc, and let's say I'm going to call it assignment 1. Let's do our best. Okay. Now, I've got this document, right? And let's say that I want to share it out with other people. And I would prefer that when they click the link that I share out for this document, I just want it to open for them. I don't want to have them sign in with a Google account or have any weird stuff happening. I just want them to see it. Okay. Here's what we can do with incognito mode to help us. If I go up to the top right and I click on share, I'm going to do a get shareable link. Okay. And now remember that by default, when you get a shareable link, it's going to default to anyone at CBTC with the link can view. Okay. Now, anyone at CBTC with the link can view means that if someone clicks this link, they're going to have to sign in to their Google account, their CBTC Google account, in order to see the document. Now, how can I test that? How can I make sure that they're going to have to sign in? Well, if I click copy link, and then I go to my incognito Chrome window. Incognito means I'm not signed in to any Google account. I am totally anonymous. I'm just a random Joe on the internet. Okay? I'm going to paste in that link. I'll do paste and go. And it asks me to sign in. So basically, I tested that link to see, is it going to ask them to sign in when they click this? The answer is yes, it will. And I was able to test that with incognito mode. Okay, now I'm going to close this incognito window. I'm going to switch this share permission to anyone with the link, no sign in required. Okay, I'll hit save. So now that I switched that, if I put that in incognito, the document should load. Okay, let's find out. I'm going to copy link. I'll go up here, hit the kebab, new incognito window. I will right click here, paste and go. And there it is. There's the document. Okay. Notice in the top right, it asks me, I could sign in if I wanted to, but I don't need to sign in order to view the document. Okay. So incognito mode is a fantastic way for you to test your shareable links to make sure that they are accessible to the public before you send them out. And this works for stuff beyond Google as well. If you have any online stuff that you do where you want to make sure people can get to it without having to sign in to anything, use incognito mode. It's awesome. It is a great way to test that kind of stuff. So those are just a few tips with regards to using Chrome that you may find helpful. Again, I would say that Chrome is the preferred web browser. It's definitely an excellent browser for using Canvas. Of course, it's a great browser for using the different G Suite apps. And really, most modern web technology works excellent with Chrome. So give it a shot. Don't get rid of your other browsers, but give it a shot. It's a pretty solid choice, and hopefully these tips were helpful for you. Thanks for watching.